Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
If there ever was a project to symbolise dogged determination against huge odds, then Twin Ring Motegi would be it. Built by Honda as a facility to showcase its products to both its customers and the wider world, it was more than 10 years in the making and constructed on a size and scale unsurpassed anywhere across the globe. And today, we have the latest round of iRacing Formula Renault 3.5 Championship to take to the track, to entertain us and definitely showcase their driving skills. I'm Tim Cox, behind the scenes in the virtual production trailer. We have got Sam Fitzpatrick right now. As always, I'm joined by Seb Bosher-Williams. Seb, a track that's not given the love and respect that's probably its due, because it always brings great racing, but so few people own it, and participation is always low whenever any series comes here to Twin Ring in any of the championships. But it's got some great areas, some really technical parts, a long straight into a big braking area. It's good for overtaking on. And I think the killer question ultimately is, with his clean sweeps to par this season, can Eddie Samborski make it 9 wins from 9?
I mean, every time that we've come to a circuit, we've always thought, can Samborski be toppled? And the answer this season has always been no, and I think it's going to be the same again today. I thought, last week was the best chance of Samborski not being toppled and not winning the race. Silverstone, he said it wasn't really his track, and even then he was quicker than the rest of the field. So I think he's definitely in the prime position to win today. Whether he'll get the clean sweep that he's done in some other races, I'm not quite sure. But Twin Ring Motegi, you're right, it doesn't get the love that it deserves. It's very much an underused circuit. I don't think I've ever really done an official race around this circuit. It's very fun though to hot lap, and especially when we get some high downforce cars like we have in the Formula Renault 3.5s, it is a whole lot of fun. And this section at the moment that we're seeing Samborski go through, the final chicane, is really fun if you get it right, but if you get it wrong, not only does it hurt in terms of lap time, you can get off the track, you can get some off track. So it's certainly a really challenging circuit, and it is going to provide some really good racing tonight.
Qualifying just getting underway right now. Samborski leading the timing tower. But by a slim margin, Shirakawa, Japanese driver, currently second and under a tenth behind him. And Sergio Macias as well, incredibly close behind. Under 2 tenths separating our top 3 right now. There are close times up and down the field. It's one of the tightest spreads in terms of qualifying times that I've seen in an incredibly long time. Across all the many series that I cover and across all the different formats, it is once again really close here as that is James Byrne just improving on time and not in place. Visor Mowski, where has that come from? Displacing Duresho and Shirakawa down through the time seats as Josh Stewart, the Aussie, goes up into 5th there. Starting to fly in left, right and centre. Samborski on a bit of a flyer too as we just watched Marcos Alagron come through the final corner. Currently 8th. Can he improve? Just mounting down to 9th as Board just set a faster time than him. And wow. Alagron goes to the top of the timing sheets there with the 131.4. But Borski displaces him with an astounding lap, going half a second quicker than the rest of the field and his previous best. We're back with a bang here in Formula Renault 3.5 as Macias closes up that gap slightly to join Samborski on the provisional front row into second for the Iberian. Right now we've got 3 Iberians in the top 5 and names like Shirakawa and Stewart well down the order into the midfield. And also, I tell you what, Ludwig Ranchon has had his only time deleted. He's not going to improve, so he's going to start right at the back of the pack. It's just shaping up already, set to be another classic here.
Well, it certainly is. I love the fact that we always sort of get this you know, Samborski's first lap is sort of almost on par with everybody else. And then while everybody starts to best Samborski's time by a few hundredths of a second, Samborski's just building up to absolutely smash that lap record. And, you know, 4 tenths separating first and second. If that's not a statement, I don't quite know what is. But you're right, further down the order, Ranchon, he's a really quick driver. We've seen him, you know, with some supreme racing, especially around Silverstone 1 week ago. I expect him to be coming through the field. It's only a 14-car grid, so more opportunities for overtakes, I think, here. And you know, Ranchon, he's not, you know, if you were starting, say, P14 in a 20-car grid, you'd be thinking that you might be in for a good result. So just because he's starting last, it doesn't mean that we won't be seeing him fly through the field. And also, Tim, I do believe that actually Gallus and Cornu have set the exact same, Miguel Crespo and Dennis Cornu have set the exact same lap time, 1 minute 34.77. So that's how tight the field is. They're doing identical lap times.
And to give you an idea of the display of caliber of driver we have out here for you today, the lowest iRacing driver is Daniel Gallus, who is 4.2k. That just gives you an idea of the sort of drivers that we have here on display for you today in Japan. We started the season in Japan at Suzuka. We've been to Fuji. We've been to Okayama. Now it's Twin Ring's turn. And the final time we'll be in Japan for, a quarter of the season. Can you believe it? We will have spent here in this fabulous country. But here is your grid for round 9 of the championship. Samborski on pole, picking up his 6th pole position of the season. Only Shirakawa and Saito have displaced him from that title, with Sergio Macias joining him on the front row. Marcos Alacron, he's got Eric Maiski with him on the second row. Costa Resho completing 3 Iberians inside the top 5. Yuki Shirakawa joins him company on the third row of the grid. Even Josh Stewart of Downforce Racing, he's got Shane Lambert of Jaeger Racing, we've had the pleasure of speaking to numerous times so far this season, on the 4th row. Rob Bohr as Miguel Cresco for company, with Dennis Corney, the Frenchman, and Daniel Gallis making up row 6 of the grid. And then we are going to round things out with James Byrne in unlucky for some, 18th place. His teammate Lambert starting a bit ahead of him. Ludwig Ranchon not setting a time, but we've seen him come through the field on numerous occasions after not setting a time. I'm sure today is going to be no different whatsoever. Let's just wait for the last drivers to take to the grid. There we go. Here come the lights, and let's get ready to go racing from Motegi. Round 9 of the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship, and we are away. And a shocking start there, and off onto the grass. It's already happening. We haven't even made it down to turn 1. Everyone just files through there. And what a poor start from Sergio Macias. He's down to 9th as we head down the straight towards turn 3 before he's going to double back on ourselves into 4 pretty much immediately. Oh, there's a spinner there. That is Marcos Alacron, got the Hyperions having a shocking start here, Seb.
They certainly are. A car was on the grass. I was having Hockenheim flashbacks, but they all make their way through. Shane Lambert up 5 spots. He's in 3rd place. Yuki Shirakawa up 4. He's in 2nd. So some really rocket starts, but at the expense of Dreshko, Gallis, and Alacron. They are all to the back of the grid as we head now up towards turns 8 and into the breaker zone of turn 9. Samborski with a huge lead. It's already 3 seconds, Tim.
That was by some drivers having a few issues, Marcos Alacron, and of course the poor start, which really held up the grid behind him, Sergio Macias, but he has made up a few more places. He was down tonight. He's now back up in 6th place as everyone streams through out of turn 13 and across the start finish line as we head out on to, so apologies, getting confused there. It always catches me out, this circuit. Plus corners onto the national straight here. This long run down to turn 11 and through underneath the oval, through 12 into 13. There is your leader, Samborski, who is now about to start onto lap 2. Past the pit lane for the oval and through turn 1, and then it's the long stream of cars behind him, which covers the whole entire field here. Shirakawa 2nd. You can start from him at 4 places. Lambert, as you mentioned, at 5 into that last podium place. Stewart by Zamowski. Macias is up the inside, goes Lambert, who's absolutely on fire here today is the American, as Stewart slots it up the inside of Shirakawa, but Shirakawa fights back, and he's just going to get the better run out of the corner, and the Aussie has to succumb and has to yield as he tries to hold on right the outside. They make contact, and then there's a big accident. There's 2, 3, possibly even 4, 5 cars involved here, Seb, underneath the bridge of the oval, and Shirakawa is out. He's on his roof. That's his race done.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened. That seemed a little bit clumsy there. It just doesn't seem necessary to be fighting. I think Weiser-Maisky is off the track. Yes, he is. Was he involved in that collision? Well, he's got damage to the front end of that car. I wonder if he's dropped it again sort of later on in the lap. So this is Alacron heading, I think, in to turn 5, and we're going to see a sideways Shirakawa up ahead of us. Yeah, there he is, and I just don't really think that was necessarily the right thing to be doing at this point, but correct me if you think I'm wrong, Tim.
No, but you see, this is what indicated it all, and Shirakawa just drifted wide, caught Stewart, then caught Samborski, and there was another incident bystander there. That was the number 3 of Sergio Macias, who had that poor start, made it back through the field, and then got caught up in that incident. Weiser-Maisky, Macias, Stewart, and Shirakawa all into the pit. But this has really changed things up as we see another angle of the incident. Where's Shirakawa? Looks like he's breakdancing the way his car was caught up there. James Byrne as well, another driver who just sort of checked up a bit and then got caught up. He had contact with, I think it might have been Gallis potentially. But wow. Drama already. We're only 5 minutes into the race. Lap 3. As we see what happened to Weiser-Maisky. And, well, all looks okay, but just backs out of it. I wonder, Seb, the way he's come to a grinding halt there, if he's got to slow down and just look to clear it.
I'm not quite sure. That's a really curious case. He's back into the pits. Is Wajciechowski now, so that, you know, clearly, I mean, he definitely had damage to the front end of that car. I'm not sure if it was a slowdown or if he was letting the other cars go because he had damage. Very, very strange, but you know, we've got some real big winners in all of that. Ranchon, he's in 5th place already. He started dead last in 14th place. He's already up 9 spots. Miguel Crespo in 3rd, Shane Lambert in 2nd place. So, you know, we've got some drivers that have really benefited from all of the action on the opening laps. I mean, Samborski as well. He is just rocketing out ahead at the moment. The gap is now, you know, 5.5 seconds. He's lapping around about actually about 0.4 of a second quicker on that last lap. But Samborski, you know, has been easily a second quicker than Lambert on the previous few laps. And Joshua Stewart as well, one of the biggest losers. He was looking like he could be able to get back his or get his championship back on track, I should say, after the disappointing results he's had a few for the last few rounds, but that just hasn't happened, and he is currently all the way down to him in 11th place and carrying quite some substantial damage to his car.
Really struggling for sure, right? He's in a bit of a dip in form. I haven't seen him on the podium since round 5 at Watkins Glen. Prior to that, you know, he'd been out of the opening 5 rounds. He'd been on the podium 4 times, including 3 second places. It was only Fuji in round 3 that he hadn't actually been on the podium, and it's just seemed to have gone downhill for him from that stage. But I tell you what, Lambert invigorated after his first podium season at Hockenheim, round 7, narrowly missed out at Silverstone, and he is looking good in that best of the rest spot in 2nd right now at Crespo Bore. Ranchon Cornel all hot on his tail is right on board with Carlos Teresho, who's at the tail end of this train, and it always amazed me and how close the drivers get to the walls. This is Marcus Alacron. See a replay of him, and let's take a little look at what's happened to him. Oh, he's lost the rear end there, Seb, and nearly collected Eric Wajciechowski, so that was right near the start of the race.
That was, and actually, sorry Tim to cut it across, if he hadn't spun there, he'd have been involved in that Shirakawa incident.
He would have been. So let's look at the start, and wow, you can see the really poor start there, and that's what Teresho just net-coded off the track. It was the poor start on the right-hand channel, so the even-numbered start grids for Sergio Macias in 2nd place, and that just caused a concertina effect, and drivers moving around, a bit of a lock-up there. The drivers ahead, I think that might have been Miguel Crespo, the Australian, as we head through the lap, getting tighter in this midfield. As I tell you what, Crespo under a lot of pressure right now. Downfall racing driver, last of the podium positions, but will he be as Rob Bohr, the Benelux driver, trying to find his way through here? And good to see. He's gonna hold. No, he's not gonna hold on to it. Bohr's just gonna stream past him, and Crespo not even dipping back into the slipstream, trying to fight back. And there we go. He's had to tuck into 4th place and instantly onto the back of Bohr as we head through the lap. Through now into the final couple of corners of the lap. 12 turns 11, 12, 13 that come at you pretty much instantly and across the start-finish line. Good to see this week that the race from Okayama, the brilliant battle we had there, making it onto the iRacing clips of the week. Really proud of this championship. It brings so much great action and a great advertisement for it. What a race it was back at Okayama. Never a dull moment. As never is really in Formula Renault 3.5. Lap 6 out of 23 today in Japan. Alacron onto the back of Teresho and Cornu, but there is Josh Stewart trying to catch up to the pack. He's got his work cut out. He's about 20 seconds behind these guys. So there's James Byrne making it 4 places, despite being one of the drivers caught up in those opening incidents, but the car's still running. It is Teresho, Alacron and Stewart that have all lost big, losing 2, 5 and 4 places respectively for each of those two. Two Frenchmen not working together today so much of Ranchon and Cornu. Big gap opening up between them. And I tell you what, Ranchon is getting right into the back of Crespo despite having that third place initially, Seb. Then being passed by, this time last lap by Rob Bohr. Also managed to extend that gap out, and now Crespo being backed up into Ranchon.
Yeah, Crespo just not having the pace of the top three at the moment. I wonder if that's a little bit of a setup discrepancy, or Crespo just not as comfortable with the circuit as others. It's such a technical circuit. Is Twin Ring Motegi. You really need to have confidence in the car, and if the car starts to behave in a way that you don't necessarily like, if it starts to understeer a little bit more than you expect, if it starts to oversteer, it can really hurt your lap times. It's such a confidence track. And I just wonder if that's what's happening to Miguel Crespo at this phase of the race. Ranchon is gaining. Just think it's going to be a matter of time before Ranchon gets past Crespo. But then, you know, it could swing back into Crespo's favour if he's starting to conserve the tyres a little bit more in this earlier phase. He could then, you know, come back later on in the race, use that tyre that he's saving up and sort of bank it in closer to the end of the race. Crespo locking up into turn 5 for good measure, but now Dreshko under pressure from Alacron as well as we head through the S section. Battles up and down the field, Tim, but Samborski 10 seconds separates himself and Lambert in second. That is certainly not a battle that I think is gonna come to fruition anytime soon.
It's really not. When you look at the lap time discrepancies, there's 9 tenths on the last lap alone. The difference between Samborski and Lambert, the two Americans at the top of the timing, so now, and top of the podium positions provisionally, but it's whether Crespo can get back into his groove and get after Bohr, because since Bohr has made his way past 2 laps ago, he's now opened up a gap of 1.9 seconds to the Aussie in 4th, and Ludwig Ranchon is looking to put a whole nother world of pain into Crespo by getting past him. He's closing. And I mean, last time around, identical lap times as James Byrne here in a battle with Gallus, forcing him out wide. We head through the chicane 7 and 6, straighten up, head race down to 9, and sorry, it's 10 now, but it's getting close between those guys. Let's take a look at, this is Ludwig Ranchon. Let's see what happens. That's Crespo ahead of us. Yeah, ooh, wow, you can see the, oh no, he's just lost it. The Frenchman has lost it after an amazing start from the back of the grid and now finds himself all the way down in 8th, Seb, as James and Gallus. So James Byrne and Daniel Gallus battle it out over 9th. These two pretty much inseparable for the last couple of laps.
Yeah, side by side as we head down towards turn 5, the scene of that Shirakawa incident earlier on in the race. Byrne on the inside. Gallus trying to go all the way around the outside successfully. It does it. I think Gallus on the DRS as well for good measure. Cornu is being passed by Alacron as well out on track, so really not a good lap for the French drivers. Cornu trying to hold on, but Alacron just got more pace. Alacron on the DRS as well. And look at this, Tim. Look at Dreshko.
Oh, 3 wide into turn 1. They all have to back out of it, and Cornu, the big loser, is, well, Alacron shuts the door firmly in Dreshko's face, cutting right across the front of him there. So he moved up into 5th, but Cornu losing big, down 2 places. He stays Seb, not working out to the foots of the 2 French drivers. The virtual drivers by TX3. A slight bit of a lock-up there, just a puff of smoke from Alacron's front right corner. You see Ranchon just heading off exit stage left there, but this is where it all started for these guys and how they all came together. And wow, what a big move there from Alacron up the inside of Dreshko and then into Crespo, who's actually managed to make his way back past him by the looks of things, Seb. It's really changing and evolving, this freeway battle over 4th place.
I think it is. I think actually the 2 teammates sort of were squabbling over each other into turn 1, and I think Ranchon's sort of wide moment really unsettled Cornu, and that allowed, you know, both Dreshko and Alacron to gain, and Alacron to just send it down the inside into turn 3. Supreme move, really aware of the race around him and knew that, you know, he could take advantage of of actually Ranchon's mistakes that all started very early on in the lap. Tell you what though, Bohr is catching Shane Lambert at the moment. Shane Lambert is going to have to work if he wants to keep this second place, which he's done a really good job of earning. He's been in the right spot at the right time. He's had the pace where he needs it, but that is starting to fall away from him. Bohr catching up, and Samborski once again in just another level. The gap is now almost 13 seconds, although this time Lambert responds. But look at that, Rob Bohr, the last time around him, 0.2 of a second off Samborski, the closest driver that we have on track at the moment to match Samborski's pace. So not only is Rob Bohr quicker than Lambert, Rob Bohr is almost on Samborski's pace, which we know is very much, you know, alien pace. So Rob Bohr really looking like he's a shoo-in for the second spot, at least this phase, at least at this phase of the race.
Lap 10. Starting to approach the halfway stage of the race here for Motegi. Samborski leads from Lambert. Bohr, as you mentioned, in that last podium position, hunting down Lambert. Crespo, 4th, Alacron, 5th, Duresho, 6th, Cornu, Ranchon, taking up to 8th with Gallus and Byrne. They still, well, they've been battling for a while. Gallus has made it past Byrne and nearly a 3-second advantage. Stewart's a lap down now in 11th, the last running car, because we have had retirements of Macias, Weisemowski and Shirakawa all close up in that lap 2 incident. Big incident. Wow. Never fails to deliver, does this championship, and Bohr, as you say, Seb, is taking big chunks of time right now out of Shane Lambert as every corner goes by. He seems to visually get that little bit closer every single time. Another new fastest lap of the race from Samborski is, oh, Crespo. He's caught a cone, Seb, and he's towing it around for the ride and taking it for a tour around Motegi. I don't know if you quite caught that in the background. There it is. It's still hanging on for dear life, that orange cone.
And if you are carrying a cone, you can really damage the car. I mean, it's not unheard of. It's more in the endurance side of iRacing, but a cone, you can get under the car and it can sort of damage the floor. And we know how crucial floor damage can be. So wherever Crespo has picked that up, he'll be hoping that that cone exits the car without causing any damage to the bodywork, but secondly, to not repeat that mistake, because it could be really damaging to Miguel Crespo's race. I think Bohr just riding on board with him. That was an incredible onboard shot that we had from Rob Bohr. It just seems like he just trusts the car. He turns the wheel and he just knows that the rear end isn't going to snap. And I think, you know, that's what Lambert is struggling with at the moment. Just as soon as he turns the front in, the rear tyres just don't necessarily have the grip that he would quite like. Well, Bohr has none of those issues, and that's why he's able to produce this incredible pace that we're seeing from him at the moment. Marcus Alacron in 5th. It's got Dreshko behind him. That battle sort of fizzled out for the moment, Tim, but I think that once the race sort of gets into the latter stages, that's all going to start, you know, coming everything's going to concertina together and the battles are going to resume. I think everybody's just in the management phase of their races.
Samborski chasing his 6th Grand Chelem of the season. What's a Grand Chelem? It's a award that came about for drivers who started on pole, set the fastest lap of the race, led every lap, and took the victory. Jim Clark holds the record. He has 8 to his name in Formula 1. Samborski, out of 9 rounds so far, if he does it today, we'll put him on 6. He could equal or even beat that if he has dominant display in the next 3 rounds. Spa, Phillip Island, and Interlagos, the quintessential season-ending round that we have every single season here from the Renault 3.5, the Brazilian track. It's always an epic race. There is Lambert and Bohr now only 1.1 seconds behind him. That is all. The gap has diminished and whittled its way down to Bohr. That momentum is with him, but one thing we don't know, Seb, is the drivers have 8 available DRSs to use throughout the race. They can use them however they choose, as many times in a lap as they want to, but as soon as they hit that magical 8 number, they get no more. we don't know how many Bohr has used to catch up to the back of Lambert. He's now within a second. His gap's down to 9/10. And likewise, we don't know how many Lambert's used either. Now, if he's been out in front, surely he's going to have been saving those.
Would have thought, but we know that, you know, Samborski, his one race is just by saving his DRSs and sort of utilizing the slipstream instead of, you know, hopping on to that DRS button. But we've also know that some drivers do use the DRS just to stay ahead of another driver. So it's not a given that because Lambert hasn't been involved in a fight that he wouldn't have been using them. And I think Bohr, I don't think it really matters, to be honest, Tim, if he does have, you know, slightly less DRS uses than Lambert. He's got so much more command of the car through the mid-corner that I think at the end of the day, he'll be able to make the move even in this sort of the tight, twisty second sector if he can't do it on the straight. And I think Bohr at the moment just looks like the faster car. And when you are that considerably quicker than the car ahead, you don't need that extra boost from the DRS. You'll just plain get past them.
So we're watching that gap shrink. Likewise, Miguel Crespo, Alicon catching up onto the back of him in the battle for fourth right now. There is Dennis Cornu. Wow. The two Frenchmen started well, vying for that third place, but then it's all fallen apart from them mid-race. It's all come undone, Seb. And yet again, as we've seen in this championship, it flips like a coin on an absolute dime, doesn't it? It chops and changes, and it can evolve at the blink of an eye. And you get the feeling that maybe there's still another chapter to the story here in Motegi.
Oh, undoubted, Leah. Just, you know, thinking about Stewart's championship as a whole. I mean, talk about flipping on a dime. You were, you know, describing earlier how dominant or how many good results that he was having, and then, you know, since Watkins Glen, just things haven't gone his way. He was looking at a really good sort of safe second place in the championship, but that's all fallen by the wayside. And Shane Lambert as well. I mean, you know, what an incredible second half of the season he's had. You can sort of apply that same theory to the race itself. We've got drivers that have gained a lot. Lambert, Bohr and Crespo all up 6 positions. But while we've got Macias, Wajzowski, I should say, and Yuki Shirakawa and Josh Stewart all losing multiple places and some even being out of the race. So it seems that in F3 we've got very much two extremes. You either have a really good race or you have a fairly shocking race, to be honest, and there's not much in the middle. And that's why it's so enjoyable to watch as a viewer, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And these cars are so good. They will bite you if you start overdriving them. You have to show them a lot of respect.
Oh, Zalakron up the inside of Crespo, and that is going to be 4th place. The move turned by the Iberian over the Aussie as they head underneath the bridge. And he'll take that with 2 hands for definite. Amazing stuff. But if you're thinking, you like the overlays you're using to broadcast your leagues here, Tim, at Apex Racing TV, well, what we utilise is SDK Gaming, one of our sponsors for this series and many of our broadcasts here at Apex Racing TV. Where can you utilise it to broadcast the league, sync up your commentators to focus on the driver, exactly what the producer is showing. Also, yeah, with its most accurate live timing software available on iRacing, you utilise it to show timing tabs, enhanced relative boxes, mini-maps, but also around endurance events. It is brilliant with its fuel calculator, its ability to adapt your team strategy on the fly, utilising a metric to show that's really easy to use to show where you will come out in the field when you do pit. It's an absolutely fantastic tool. You can also use it to stream to Twitch and YouTube with the most complete overlay on iRacing. Also, if that is not enough for you, you get 14 days for free as well, so you can try it out, get used to it, see if you enjoy it, and I'm sure you will do. But lap 16, and you can see the way that everyone's starting to space out now, but I tell you what, there's still some battles to be had out there, and this is one of them, as Bohr has now closed that gap right up the 4/10 of a second over Shane Lambert. But well into the second half of the race here, lap 16 out of 23. Tamborski, well, we've hardly seen him. He's off into the distance, 17.8 seconds clear of these guys, and this gap is only going to grow because you get the feeling Bohr is about to make a move on Lambert, just sizing him up right now. Akron in 4th, Miguel Crespo down to 5th. He's still at 5 places though, so still a solid result. Duresho 6th. Cornu, Ranchon, Gallus and James Byrne running at the top 10 with Josh Stewart in the 11th. Your last running car with Macias, Wajzimowski and Shirakawa all retired for that big incident in the opening laps. Zeb, if you're Rob Bohr, how do you play this one? Sit behind, wait till the last couple of laps, or do you go earlier and utilise that pace that he clearly has to try and get away from Shane Lambert?
It's quite an interesting dynamic that Rob Bohr's finding himself in this stage of the race. He's not got too many laps to go, but you know, he's not as quick as Samborski, but even if he was, I mean, there's an 18-second gap between himself and Lambert, so he's got no incentive of really rushing past Lambert. So I think it's all about just keep on applying pressure to Lambert, almost trying to allow Lambert to make the mistake, to allow Bohr to go by, just force Shane Lambert into a mistake. Because, you know, if you're Rob Bohr, the best you're really looking at is second place, so there's no point in risking a move, risking damaging the car for no benefit. So I think Bohr has just got to stick there, apply some pressure, and then when it gets, you know, to the last few laps, then you start, you know, sending it up the inside, starting to use your DRSs. And I think Bohr is, he can almost do whatever he likes at the moment. I think he's got enough pace to at least really challenge Lambert for that second spot, and he hasn't really got much pressure from Alacron behind, so Bohr is really in the ideal spot to have a nice go at Shane Lambert. But I mean, what can this man not do, Tim? Eddie Samborski, he is just rapid, he's consistent, he's really fast at qualifying.
Oh, Seb, hold on a minute, because we could have a well, it was looking like Bohr just having to move the inside, but Lambert slow off the corner there, incredibly slow off it. And this is going to allow Bohr just to have a little look at the inside. Lambert holds on, and he's holding on for absolute dear life right now and getting the better drive out of the corner. But Bohr dips down to the inside. He has another look, just trying to fill the mirrors of Lambert to keep him guessing, make him think as they round turn 10 down to the back straight here at Motegi. And Bohr is going to be closing and closing and closing. The gap shrinking once again. It had got down as low as 1/10 of the second as it was all over the back of Lambert. Obviously, when they tripped up one another, did extend out, but it's shrinking again down now to 1/4 of a second from 3/10. And as they come out through turn 13 and across the line, look at the run that Bohr has got. And Lambert didn't even see it coming. He didn't even go defensive, and Bohr up the inside into turn 1. Up into second place, and what a move from Bohr, just sizing him up. But Lambert's not done and dusted it. He's fighting back, and he's straight back up the inside and back up into second place. They almost banged wheels there, and Bohr just has to succumb to Lambert, and he's retaken the place only a matter of corners later after losing it, and Bohr just tucking in once again.
Rob Bohr, I think, on the DRS out of the final corner, turn 14, you're right. I think it caught Shane Lambert by surprise, but Lambert kept his cool, went around the outside of turn 1, got the cutback for turn 2, and sent it very neatly into turn 3. Not much Bohr could do there, and I think, once again, he's sort of thinking about the long game here. He knows there's no point in tripping over himself.
Seb, hold on a minute, because Crespo losing a place there to Carlos Duresho up the inside. Goes the Iberian. And I do have to wonder if Crespo's maybe just overcooked his tyres a little bit here, Seb. And, well, the lock-up there may well indicate it's around turn 10 and down the back straight. Because after what was a strong start, he's just gradually just drifted sort of down through the field as people have caught him.
Yeah, I think, you know, as I was saying earlier on, that this track really rewards a confident driver and a driver that's confident with the car, and I just don't get that sense from whenever we've had a look at Crespo's car or ridden on board. I just think he's struggling a little bit, and that's just going to bleed time around this circuit.
What? I tell you what, Josh Stewart came back out after having to repair damage. He was 20 seconds behind everyone else. And he's now right on to the back of James Byrne and in full attack mode as Byrne goes defensive. Here comes Stewart right round the outside, and before they've even reached the turning point, let alone the apex, the Aussie is past the American. And what a drive from Stewart. He's just been quietly going about his business, chipping away and setting scintillating lap times as well. He's the third fastest driver on the track last time around, behind Marcus Alecron, and of course Eddie Samborski set another new fastest lap last time around, 1:34.29 for him. It's brilliant stuff. Let's have a bit of a shout out to another one of our sponsors for the series, Apex Racing Academy, 29 data packs, setups, track guides, integration with virtual racing school, VRS. We could go crazy in sessions, so you can improve your on-track performance and much, much more. Now, I know one of our fellow commentators here at Apex Racing TV, Austin Knight, took some of their courses and saw a dramatic improvement. He races the Hyundai Veloster and in the pilot challenge, and also the touring car officials there, as we see Miguel Crespo. He's made great improvements and loses the rear. Wow, well held there. We're at Motegi there, Miguel. It's not Tokyo for a bit of the Tokyo drift, but it's not helping him down the back of Carlos Durescio, and if anything, it's backing him up into Dennis Cornu. As Lambert, since that, well, he lost the place to Bohr, he then reclaimed it from Bohr. He's managed to pull over a little bit of a gap with them, but these two are slowing each other up so much so that Marcus Alecron is now sniffing and has the potential of a place on the podium with 3 laps left remaining, Seb. This is going to be a really, really close last few laps.
Undoubtedly. I think I sort of get the sense from Rob Bohr at the moment that he knows that Lambert is going to put up a fight. Lambert is not going to simply, let Bohr through and concede second place. So I think Bohr knows what he's got to do, and that's wait until, honestly, the final lap and do what he did. Surprise Lambert by getting onto the DRS out of the final corner, and maybe if he's got one spare as well, using it out of turn 2 to defend. He needs to do this cleanly though. If he starts squabbling like he did a few laps ago, Alecron's going to be right there and wanting to get involved in the battle. Alecron's not really got much to lose. He's not on the podium at the moment, so anything is a benefit to the Iberian driver. So I think, Bohr's race has become a lot harder than it was a few laps ago, with Lambert defending from Bohr through turns 1 and 2. But I still think Rob Bohr can do this. He just needs to play it a little bit more tactically. It's interesting now that the second, third and fourth all into the 1:34, that last time. So drivers starting to find some more pace, and Samborski not really pushing out there at the moment. We normally see him, Tim, at this stage of the race. He starts putting in those fastest laps, tries to get the Grand Chelem, but I think at this point he's done enough, and he could just cruise to victory unless he'll prove us wrong by next lap, getting well within the 33s.
You wouldn't put it past him, really, would you? You wouldn't put him past him. Since, say about Alecron catching up to the back of Lambert and Bohr, just dropped off a little bit, but not too much. Just enough to give these two a timely reminder that he is still there. We look back from Lambert at Bohr, who is closing. He is closing and closing. The gap down to 2 tenths. It is coming down to 1 tenth. And we're going to see a lunge up the inside from Bohr. Backs out of it. Thinks about it again. We head onto the bridge through turns 12 and then into 13. The much wider line from Lambert, really opening up the corner there. And is it enough to carry more momentum and save him from the clutches of Bohr? Well, I think it may well be, but Bohr's coming back at him. But that gap did grow by about a tenth or two. As Bohr runs in deep, and that's going to back him right up into Alecron and bring him into the fight, Seb.
I think the Bohr was a little bit deep, but it's not too damaging to a lap time around here, as the geography of turns 1 and 2. It's a long right-hander, but you can almost do that to try and get a better run out of the corner. It's not the quickest way, but it's certainly recoverable. Bort now needs to be absolutely millimetre perfect. He needs to nail every single one of his braking zones. He can't afford to lose 100th of a second, let alone a 10th like he did through turn 2. Lambert, I mean, we've been saying all through the stream, he's been on this incredible turn of form. He's not going to let this go easily. He's shown that he knows where to defend around here. Bort's best chance, I think, at this point is either to do what he did one lap ago or just send it to the inside where Lambert just simply isn't expecting him to go.
The clock is ticking. Time is running out, and it's running out fast here. Because when these guys come across the line next time around, it's going to be the white flag in the air. 1 lap left remaining. As we look back from Lambert, that is Bohr. So we head through 12, underneath the bridge, and into 13. And once again, that really wide opening up line from Lambert. He's really dominant compared to Bohr through there. But here we go. This is the move. This is Bohr's chance. He pulls alongside Lambert. And look, Alacron's coming right into the fight here as up the inside goes Bohr. But this is not done and dusted because Lambert is right onto his tail. But Alacron now right into the fight. 8 attempts covers all of our drivers from second through to fourth. And who is going to pick up second? Who is going to pick up third? And who's going to be the driver who suffers disappointment of not making it onto the podium? Well, it is a vantage ball right now. He is the top of this group in second place. Lambert only 4 tenths behind him, and he's not catching. That gap's opened up to 5 tenths. Alacron still 4 tenths behind Lambert. We're running out of corners, we're running out of time, and Lambert needs to be right onto the back of Bohr because when they come out of 10, he needs to slipstream his way past him down to turn 11, as we're seeing Eddie Samborski enter into that now. Stuart's had a bit of an issue, we'll see if we can pick that up later, but through 12 and into 13 for the final time, Eddie Samborski picks up yet another victory to make it 9 wins from 9 here in the championship. Spectacular stuff from him, but what is happening in that battle for second? Well, Bohr's looking like he's secured it, but Lambert could lose a place on the podium because here comes Alacron up the inside. They almost touch. He squeezes his car through, and after heaping praise onto Lambert, it looks like it's all come undone for him, but he's still having a go. He's still trying to find a way past this contact, and he's lost the rear end. He holds it, but Alacron, what a recovery from him. And is he going to give the place back to him? No, right at the line. Wow, Seb.
I think we've just had the strangest Formula 3.5 ending.
Well, it was almost like Alacron had a slowdown and then had to serve it, and that's why he just threw out the anchor because it wasn't his fault. Lambert has run into the back of him, and Lambert misses out on the podium place by 6/100ths of a second. So we're going to get a replay here. And let's see maybe if this gives us some answers. That is Lambert ahead of us. Here comes Alacron. Darts up the inside. All looks good so far, doesn't it, Seb? It's not, from the initial angle, looked like they might have almost touched wheels. They didn't, looking down from the helicopter. Underneath the bridge, into 12. Alacron just a little bit wider, and then no, I think Lambert lost it by himself. But then, do you think he mistook where the finish line was or something like that? Because here we go. He's slowing up, he's slowing, he's slowing, he's slowing. And you're going to see him, Lambert, emerge in the bottom right corner of your screen right now. Here he comes. And wow, Seb, seeing it in slow motion, it looks even closer than when we saw it in real time.
It does. I'm racking my brain trying to sort of find a reason, that we've seen drivers, previously give back places if they think that, they were the one that caused it. But I don't see how Alacron could have thought that he was at fault for any of the contact there between himself and Shane Lambert. Alacron maybe running out of fuel, spluttering to the line. I don't see any reason why he would have got a slowdown. He was all 4 wheels within the track at every point of the track, and that is a very, very strange one. I mean, that picture, says more than I could say in 1,000 words how close they were. I mean, it is in Alacron's favour. It's fluttering, Tim.
That answers it, Seb. Wow, and if Lambert hadn't have made that mistake, he would have had him.
He would have had him. That was so close. Alacron must have known. I mean, honestly, when he started the lap, that car was very much on bingo fuel. And it all started, so Alacron knew that his best chance of gaining the position was to dive down the inside into turn 11. We see it on board right now, late on the brakes. And I'm really interested to see when he runs out of fuel. So he gets it done on the throttle. All sounding good at the moment. Yeah, so it's just on the exit of turn 14, Tim. And if Lambert hadn't made that mistake, he'd have kept third, but wow.
This is proves why you should always watch the end in these races, because there's moments like that that change things. Let's take you through some results here from Motegi. Round 9 of the championship. Well, it's just put my voice on just to record it and play it out every single week, because that is the way it has been so far this season. Sam Borski taking the victory. Rob Bohr, second place, first time on the podium this season as well for him. A great drive from the Benelux driver. He's going to be absolutely static with that one. A great result. Into third place, Marcus Alacron, but only just the first time we've seen him on the podium since Fuji. So clearly a bit of a love for the Japanese tracks for the Iberian driver. But wow, I mean, Shane Lambert in the end. Well, there we go. It actually shows it here. It's even closer than what we thought initially. 5 thousandths of a second was all the difference between Lambert finishing in fourth and taking a step onto the podium here today. Amazing stuff yet again in this championship. Duresho 5th, Crespo 6th. Had a good start, but fell through the order and maybe a little bit disappointed by that one. Dennis Corney 7th, Ranchon. Well, it hadn't been for that mistake, he would have been up there fighting for those podium positions. Stanley Garlis in 9th. Josh Stewart, what a recovery from him. Was 20 seconds off the back of the pack. But he came at the pits, he made it up and got past James Byrne to get inside the top 10. With James Byrne making it the last running driver in 11th place. With retirements all the way back on lap 2 with that big incident we saw. Masias, Ryzomowski and Shirakawa. But let's have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers, and well, almost I'm sure it's always interesting to speak to him, and I don't know if he's getting fed up of winning. It's 9 wins from 9. Eddie Samborski joins us in the commentary booth right now. Another walk in the park for yourself, really, this time?
Yeah, I mean, I practiced all week on hotter tracks, so I felt like, I had an extra set of fresh, soft tires out there. It just, I don't know, man. It was just gelled. It was good. Had fun. Annoyingly, I screwed up the qualifying lap. I should have been on for like a 3, but I got too greedy. That would have been nice to do, but what are you gonna do?
Well, yeah, I'm sure you'll somehow find a way to sleep tonight, considering with that happening. But, I mean, I'm sure you must have been aware from your relative of what was happening behind you, or did you catch any of it in your mirrors?
I actually did not see what happened at all. I have to go back and have a look. Maybe if you want to give me some quick clues here.
No, don't worry about it. It was, so basically there was a massive incident which took out, well, of course, the retirement of 3 cars, and there were about 6 or 7 all caught up as they came underneath the bridge, exiting turn 5, and involves Yuki, Eric, Sergio, Josh. I think James Byrne was involved in it too. There was it was more drivers than less drivers, as it were. But I mean, obviously there were spins as well early on from Sergio Macias didn't get away too well. That definitely helps you on the run down to turn one. Surely, did it make you feel a bit more comfortable that you hadn't got someone alongside you, just trying to nip and get past you?
Oh, absolutely. You probably noticed my line was wide on the first lap, and because I looked to the right, I didn't see anyone, but you always got to be prepared for someone. It's a really great chance to tuck it up the inside and get a run down the straightaway, especially with our optional DRS. I mean, you can just hit a button and get some free speed. So I was nervous about that, but I got to this third corner, there was no one around me, and I was kind of confused because I didn't, I was eyes forward because it's such a short run into turn one that I wanted to make sure I got a good launch, and I did everything I could, have the optimal getaway. There was just nobody around, so it was kind of. I mean, for me, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, it really helped my race. It's unfortunate that there's incidents and people are spinning. You never want to see that. But from my point of view, it was, it took the pressure off, and I had a chance to try and go as fast as I could.
Fascinating stuff. I mean, I'm sure you've completely and utterly run out of people to give thanks to, but I'll ask you again, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all, Eddie?
Absolutely. I have to shout out VRS, Apex, among all the other setup shops. Without their setups and guidance, I wouldn't be, where I'm at today. I was never an 8K driver. I mean, I was a 3K driver max for a while, and then I joined VRS, and I got to thank all the people I've competed against up to this point because they've pushed me to be where I'm at. Like Tim Delisle, Greg Olson, a few guys we don't see as often. I don't want to waste everyone's time. But I mean, without them guys, I wouldn't be on the pace I'm on now. And I'd like to thank the donators. We do need to fund the next season's broadcast. It's getting kind of late, so it would be great if people head over to the forum and start throwing money at me so we can pay for it. If not, we'll have to figure something out. So, and I gotta thank you guys for broadcasting. It's good fun. I've enjoyed it.
Hey, with the great racing you guys put on every single week, it just makes our lives so much easier and so enjoyable as well. That is Eddie Samborski, your winner here today from Twin Ring Motegi. Seb, I understand you're standing on by. You've managed to get Marcos Alarcon in for a bit of a chat.
Yeah, completely right. Tim, welcome Marcos to the commentary booth. That was an exciting end to the race. You ran out of fuel just as you exited the final corner. You must be pretty happy that you managed to secure a podium after all of that.
Oh boy, I was very, very lucky. This race was crazy from the beginning. I made a mistake in lap 1. Literally, I was the last of the race. And I keep my head down and keep digging till the end. I don't think I was be able to come back to the podium, but little by little, I made it. Yeah, in last lap, the fuel was very tight, and I think less than a tenth of difference with the other guys. So. Whoa, amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Oh, I mean, we certainly did. It took us a few rewatches, in fact, to work out, why you were going slow. We thought maybe you had a slowdown, or you were giving Lambert the position if you thought that, there was contact and it was your fault. But, I mean, it was really, really enjoyable to watch from the commentary booth. And did you know from the start of the race that you underfueled, or did that only sort of come apparent as you sort of headed later on, or should I say into the latter stages of the race?
Thankfully you enjoy, but I didn't. I promise. But no, the fuel was just for the race, but because I made that mistake, I think that 0.1 that I need was gone. So yeah, I was pushing the pedal to the bottom and praying to arrive. Thankfully, the guy behind made a mistake in last corner, and that was the key to achieve the podium. And let me congratulate to Eddie and Rob for the podium. 80 amazing, as always. And yeah, amazing race this week.
It certainly was, and before we let you go and celebrate your superb, third place. I mean, if you look at the stats, you started third and finished third, but that doesn't explain anywhere near your race. Before we let you go and celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all on the broadcast?
Yeah, my little bro. He was watching the race, and I hope he enjoyed. And for the future, I will try to calculate better the field.
Well, to be honest, you did a perfect job. You managed to get third place. Congratulations, and hope to see you in 1 week's time when we head to Spa.
Spa next week?
It is indeedy.
Well, what can I say about Spa? Is one of the greatest track in the world, and one of my favorites, of course. Yeah, I will try my best, and let's see next week.
Well, we'll hope to see you in 1 week's time. Thank you very much for taking the time to come and talk to us in the commentary booth.
Thank you, Seb. See ya.
Lovely chat with Marcos. Tim, have you managed to find anybody else in the paddock at all?
I have indeed. I've managed to grab Shane Lambert for a bit of a chat. Shane, well, it was a real up, down and a roundabout type of race for yourself. You're up into second, and then obviously Rob caught you, and then you had that with Marcos as well, where he just managed to nip it past you, and then that half spin in the final corner just seemed to cost you so dearly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware, Shane. Did you know that Marcos ran out of fuel on the run to the line?
No, I did not, and
that's
slowing down.
Yeah, that's why he was slowing up so much. It caught us in the commentary booth completely unawares as well. We're thinking, well, thought it was some sort of contact between yourselves, and he felt guilty, with yourself, and was letting you have the place back, or did he have a slowdown? But we went back and it took us a little bit of finding, but yeah, unfortunately he'd run out of fuel. So if you hadn't have had that half spin, you would have finished on the podium here today.
Yeah, well, lessons learned.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Isn't it? But I mean, let's talk about the positives. You've come alive in the second half of the season. Seb was saying it earlier during the show that how you've just gone on from strength to strength after getting that first podium. In the second half of the season, if you've not been on the podium, you've been beating on the door of it and incredibly close. Do you feel that it's just really, you've really clicked and gelled with the car, and that's what sort of elevated up your performances?
Time on the track, and also time away from it. I was spending a lot of time on track, and now I'm doing a bunch of other things. I really think it was about maybe Wednesday, Thursday, I hopped on the track and I was trying to get in the 136s, and I was struggling, and then just, I don't know, an hour and a half of practice, and it clicked. Figured out my braking points. After that first podium, I'd like to have another one, but I had a couple of mistakes there, and it cost me, unfortunately.
It did, but like I say, you've been closer and closer every single race, and it's interesting you say you're trying to get into the 136s, and then your fastest lap during the race was in the 134s. So it's definitely working. Shane, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
My wonderful wife, my awesome teammates, the community for being supportive and working together. It's a fun thing, and thank you guys for being here too.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure. We love talking to yourself and the other drivers. That's Shane Lambert, who picked up fourth, but only just incredible close a finish there. Well, it's been another action-packed day here at Apex Racing TV. Kicking off with VSCA, myself and Seb in the booth for that one. We had our F4, the Apex Racing Academy F4 series. Drama in both races for those. Myself and Seb again had the pleasure of commentating that one. Then, of course, Rick Motegi at the same time as the F4 League, and then of course the best way to round out every single Saturday, Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. It's just becoming the jewel of the crown, and what better way to round out your Saturday evening than watching these guys go hard at it out on track. But, well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you as always. Congratulations, Eddie Samborski, making it 9 wins from 9. Can he make it 10 wins from 10? Well, there's only one way to find out. Tune in next week when myself and Seb will be back, when we'll be live from Spa.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.